you can count on us. This is 7 News Good Morning Fort Sill.
Well, it is Friday morning. Thanks for joining us for another edition of Good Morning Fort Sill. We're going to go ahead and send it over to Michael over on the weather wall. So, Michael, it has cooled off a little bit, the last couple of days. Another cooler morning this morning. What are we looking like for PT and then the forecast into the weekend?
Well, pretty much a repeat of yesterday, although it is a little bit cooler than this time yesterday. We were in the low 60s yesterday at this time. Now we're already in the low upper 50s, currently 58 at Fort Sill, and the winds are pretty calm out there. And again, a 4-degree change, much cooler than we were this time yesterday. And for your PT forecast, generally in the upper 50s and low 60s for several hours. And then by the time you get to around 8 a.m. this morning, we will slowly be rising into the low to mid 60s. And then looking at satellite and radar, it is clear out there. We don't not a cloud in the sky right now, although as we look out throughout the region, a few clouds way to the south in south central Texas. We are anticipating some mid to upper level clouds coming in from the desert southwest later on today that may cool us off just in the evening hours, but again, we will be mostly clear. Jackson County Memorial Hospital Tower, Camden-Altus, pretty much clear skies. And yesterday we had a high of 86 in Lawton, which is around normal for this time of year. And elsewhere we had highs generally in the 80s. We had a high of 86 in Frederick and Wichita Falls, 84 in Duncan, 86 in Chickasha, 82 in Elk City.
Take a look at our top military stories. So U.S. fighter jets assigned to NORAD scrambled to identify and intercept 4 Russian warplanes that were flying near Alaska yesterday. Now, NORAD said in a statement issued early on Thursday that they detected and tracked 2 Tu-95s and 2 Su-35s operating in Alaskan Air Defense Identification Zone. This marks the 3rd time in a month and the 9th time this year that NORAD has reported an incident involving Russian aircraft. The Russian aircraft remained in international airspace and did not enter American or Canadian sovereign airspace, it said. Such Russian activity near Alaska occurs regularly and is not seen as a threat, it added in its statement. Well, Israeli airstrikes have claimed at least 9 lives in South Yemen. IDF's latest attack on the country's capital have also injured nearly 180 people. Houthi officials have claimed responsibility for a ballistic missile attack toward Tel Aviv yesterday. Israel said that they intercepted the missile and there were no damages or injuries. Well, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has called hundreds of U.S. generals and admirals from around the world to a rare in-person meeting in Virginia next week. That gathering is scheduled to be held at the Marine base in Quantico. The Pentagon has confirmed Hegseth will be addressing military leaders, but would not say what will be discussed. There have been major structure changes across all military branches recently, and the 2025 National Defense Strategy is currently under final review, all of which could be topics of discussion as we go into the new fiscal year that starts on October 1st. Well, Microsoft has disabled a set of services to a unit within the Israeli Ministry of Defense. An investigation by 2 news outlets suggested that Israel was using the company's cloud computing technology to spy on Palestinians. It alleges Israel's military intelligence unit used Microsoft Azure to store millions of phone calls made by Palestinians in Gaza and the occupied West Bank. Israeli security officials say there's no damage to their operational capabilities. Taking a look at things happening around Lawton, Fort Sill. Just a reminder that Fort Sill has a couple of great events this weekend to include the annual Marine Corps Devil Dog Run, as well as the men's softball tournament. The Devil Dog Run is tomorrow morning at the Patriot Club. Check-in is at 7 a.m. with the start time at 8 o'clock. Cost is $45. They're also having a huge buffet-style brunch at the Patriot Club tomorrow, so you can get your grub on after you compete. That brunch runs until noon. Cost is $18 for adults. Kids 9 to 12, it's $12, and kids 4 and under are free. For more information on the brunch or to register for the run, you can visit sill.armymwr.com. And if running isn't your thing, you can grab your bat and glove and compete in the 2025 Fort Sill men's softball tournament. That kicks off at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning at the sports complex that's just inside Bentley Gate on Sheridan Road. It's open to the public and the cost is $350 per team. Teams are limited to 15 on the roster and games will be played under the ASA rules. For more information or to register, you can call or email the point of contact on your screen. Well, an associate professor at Cameron University is celebrating the release of his children's book this month. The book, The Dependant, is a children's book written by David Bublitz, that discusses family military service through the perspective of an aunt who learns about the lives and sacrifices taken by soldier ants, inspired from his own experiences as a military dependent. Well, Air Force Entertainment is calling all music lovers across Texoma to come out for an evening of fun at Fall Fest. Shepherd Air Force Base will be the first stop on the tour, and it happens this evening. That event will be taking place at Compass Park. But if you missed that show, you can head to Altus Air Force Base tomorrow to catch the festivities. The that concert will be taking place at the field next to Club Altus. Events start at 4 p.m. for both shows, and the music gets underway around 6:15. Country musician Andy Grammer, rapper Bryce Vine, and pop duo 303 will be performing. The concerts are free to attend for all those with base access. Altus Air Force Base welcomes civic leaders from McConnell Air Force Base, as well as leaders from the 22nd Air Refueling Wing this month. The civic leaders from McConnell are prominent community members who serve as a civilian liaison between the Air Force and local community, providing valuable external perspectives, feedback, and advice to military leaders. Leaders met with instructors, toured the insides of a C-17 aircraft, and learned about the base's impact on global mobility. McConnell Air Force Base is home to the Air Force's first KC-46 Pegasus fleet and the home of the KC-135 for over 50 years, making its leaders and community partners uniquely tied to Altus Air Force Base's training mission. Speaking of the Air Force, they are updating their physical fitness assessment. We will talk about those changes coming up after the break.
Don't wait to see the news that affects you. Know first with 7 News at 4 p.m.
This just in, the town of Velma is being evacuated.
Stay connected to the team you trust your way. Get breaking news and investigations here on the 7 News app.
Mark, what are you seeing?
Right now I'm here at 2nd and F.
Instant forecast with real-time alerts here on the First Alert 7 weather app. And stream live on your TV here or watch anytime on your schedule. Download all 3 for free. Stay connected to 7 News wherever you are. This 7 News broadcast is sponsored by Southwest Buick GMC. Here's your First Alert forecast with meteorologist Michael Amanqua.
And this morning, we're going to take a look at our temperatures right now. We're still in the upper 50s and lower 60s across the area, a few mid 60s, especially for you guys in Wichita Falls and Eureka. 61 currently in Duncan, 58 in Lawton, 60 in Anadarko, 61 in Hobart and Elk City, 62 in Vernon, Frederick, Monday at 61, and in Quarrel at 61 as well. A little bit cooler than this time yesterday, anywhere between 2 to 5 degrees cooler. A few areas a little bit warmer, but generally speaking, pretty much where we were this time yesterday. Relative humidity values a little bit more humid in our eastern counties and the far northern counties. We have a little bit of a drier air pocket pretty much just southwest of the Red River, so we're seeing relative humidity values between 50 and 70%. Winds are pretty calm right now, but they're variable anywhere between 0 and 10 miles per hour. They'll slowly be switching to the south as we slowly get this warm air moving into the region. And as I said yesterday, we're getting a little bit of what we call an omega block pattern setting up shape, and you can clearly see that happening here with high pressure pretty much in the center of the country, an area of trough pretty much across the east and across the north. Actually, we do have another trough there. Now, a quick check of the tropics. We do have a weakening post-tropical cyclone Gabrielle as it continues to travel towards the northeast, but we're keeping an eye on Humberto that just became a hurricane about an hour ago, and then this area of low pressure that has a 90% chance of development. Folks at the east coast, we may need to watch for that, and we're going to continue to have cool air filter into the region, but we're watching for some clouds just off to the west that may come into our far western counties later on today.
Well, Michael, it looks like the Army football team could have used an Omega blocking pattern last night because they weren't doing too hot. The Army football team hit the field for a rare midweek game last night. The Black Knights' early season struggle continued in a conference matchup with East Carolina. Army fell behind early as the Pirates jumped out to a 21-0 first quarter lead. The Black Knights finally got some offense going in the third quarter with Dwayne Coleman's touchdown run, but it was a little too late as East Carolina rolled to a victory 28-6. The Army falls to 1-3 on the season, 0-2 in conference play. They'll head to UAB next week. Navy and Air Force will both be in action tomorrow afternoon. We'll recap their games on Monday. Well, looking at news around the forces this week, the Department of War awarded 10 Defense Community Infrastructure Program grants from the Office of the Local Defense Community Cooperation, totaling approximately $90 million. One of those grants supports the readiness and lethality of Oklahoma's McAllister Army Ammunition Plant. A $10 million federal grant was provided to the Oklahoma Department of Transportation to undertake a $35.8 million project to reconstruct a segment of US 69 and replace the Peaceable Creek Bridge. According to Mr. Dale Marks, Assistant Secretary of War for Energy, Installations, and Environment, quote, enhanced partnerships with state and local communities are critical to the success of our installations and their missions. In support of the Department of the Air Force's Culture of Fitness initiative, the Air Force unveiled changes to its physical fitness assessment and a new fitness program. Beginning next year, the Air Force will pause all PFA testing to facilitate the transition to the updated program. The Air Force will begin testing airmen on the new PFA standards in March. The new PFA re-implements the scored body composition component using the current waist-to-height ratio program and introduces a 2-mile run. Additionally, service members will be required to take the PFA every 6 months, regardless of their score. Sounds like they're trying to be like the Army there a little bit. Anyway, so the Air Force has also wrapped up their second Decision Advantage Sprint for Human Intelligence experiment, also known as DASH-2. The experiment explored how AI can help operators make faster, smarter decisions in complex battle space. Initial results showed that machines produced recommendations in less than 10 seconds and generated 30 times more options than human-only teams. The software's accuracy was on par with human performance, despite only 2 weeks of development. Air Force leaders say the DASH series is a key step in modernizing Air Force command and control. Well, the U.S. News and World Report has released their rankings of the top universities in the country. That publication ranks colleges and universities by several categories. In the liberal arts category, all 3 military academies were able to make the list. The U.S. Naval Academy nabbed the number 3 spot, with the Air Force Academy and the U.S. Military Academy at West Point grabbing the 5th and 10th place spots, respectively. Well, the U.S. Navy has announced the ships that will be participating in the Navy and Marine Corps 250th celebration next month. The USS Arlington, Lassen, Cooperstown, and USS Billings will all be sailing during the parade of ships alongside 2 cutters from the U.S. Coast Guard and 4 other Naval Academy patrol boats. That celebration is set for October 9th through the 16th in Philadelphia and Camden. Well, today in military history, we celebrate the legacy of legendary New York Yankee outfielder Joe DiMaggio, who also served in the military during World War II. DiMaggio played for the Yankees from 1936 until 1942 before enlisting in the Army Air Forces in 1943. He was trained at Santa Ana Air Base in California. DiMaggio reportedly applied for combat duty, but was rejected and instead served out his enlistment stateside as a physical education instructor. He also played for the Armed Forces All-Stars, managed by baseball great none other than Babe Ruth, who was a post-World War I soldier in the 104th Field Artillery Division, king of battle right there, of the New York Army National Guard. On September 14th of 1945, he did receive a medical discharge because of chronic stomach ulcers. DiMaggio led the Yankees to 9 pennants and still holds the record for the longest hitting streak in MLB history with 56 consecutive games. Well, tensions are high in Washington as the deadline to pass a spending bill looms even closer. How that will affect the military is coming up after the break.
Don't wait to see the news that affects you. Know first with 7 News at 4 p.m.
This just in, the town of Velma is being evacuated.
Stay connected to the team you trust your way. Get breaking news and investigations here on the 7 News app.
Mark, what are you seeing?
Right now I'm here at 2nd and F.
Instant forecast with real-time alerts here on the First Alert 7 weather app. And stream live on your TV here or watch anytime on your schedule. Download all 3 for free. Stay connected to 7 News wherever you are.
The investigation continues into the deadly midair collision above the Potomac earlier this year between a commercial plane and an Army helicopter. One of the families of the victims has filed a lawsuit related to this incident earlier this week. As Lindsay Stanger reports, the father of one of the military pilots is now speaking out about the crash.
It was the deadliest U.S. plane crash in more than 2 decades. The collision happened in January between an American Airlines aircraft and an Army Black Hawk helicopter in Washington, D.C. The widow of plane crash victim Casey Crafton from Connecticut filed the lawsuit. Her lawyers also represent a majority of the families of the crash victims.
Thus far, the only message we've received from American Airlines and their lawyers and their insurers is this is not our problem. We didn't cause this crash. This helicopter ran into our airplane. Why are you even talking to us?
The lawsuit was announced Wednesday, and the family of American airline pilot Samuel Lilly say it was difficult hearing some of the accusations in the lawsuit.
We do want to set the record straight on that.
Tim Lilly has been in aviation for years, including his time in the United States Army flying Black Hawks in the very same airspace where the crash took place.
Those routes are not for beginners. That is the most complex airspace in all the United States.
He says in the lawsuit, attorneys are placing more blame on the pilots than what he believes is possible, especially in regards to the American Airlines maneuvers.
And they made a near full-scale deflection on the controls trying to avoid that accident. So we know they remained vigilant. We know that they were looking for that traffic, and we know they did everything they could to avoid it. So the bottom line is the crew of the CRJ were doing everything exactly correct when they were shooting that approach.
Lilly says he and his family knew that the lawsuit was coming, but they don't plan to file a wrongful death suit themselves. Instead, the Lilly family says they want to focus on making change for airspace safety.
What we want is for Sam's legacy to be aviation safety. We want it to be personal to the flying public because everybody deserves to be able to get on an airplane and know that they're going to arrive safe.
Thanks, Lindsay. Barring a last-minute compromise between lawmakers on Capitol Hill, the federal government is set to shut down on October 1st, forcing service members to report for duty without pay. Service members would miss at least one paycheck if a funding deal is not reached by October 15th, and certain programs and services would come to a halt, including drills for National Guard and non-essential travel. As with previous government shutdown woes, all service members would receive back pay for any missed paychecks once the federal funding resumes. And hundreds of current and former VA doctors have issued a warning to the Department of Veterans Affairs about the negative impacts of the agency's recent staffing cuts and policy changes. The group warns that workforce reductions and moves to outsource care to private sector doctors and healthcare facilities will harm veterans. VA officials say that the changes have significantly reduced the backlog of veterans waiting for benefits and is down considerably, and cited a realignment of over $800 million to improve facilities as major wins for vets. A soldier who was sentenced to life in prison for attacking women in their rooms at Fort Hood has been found dead in his cell this month. Army Sergeant Greville Clark was found unresponsive in his cell Friday after a welfare check. Clark is the first inmate to die at the U.S. Disciplinary Barracks at Fort Leavenworth. An investigation into Clark's death is ongoing with the Army Criminal Investigation Division, which investigates all soldier deaths. The Army did not provide a preliminary cause of death. Clark was convicted in April of more than 24 crimes, including attempted premeditated murder, rape, and kidnapping for his attacks on women in the barracks that stretch over 18 months between 2021 and October 2022. Well, taking a look at your good news, like father, like daughter, while many children of service members go on to join the military themselves, one father-daughter duo took it to the next level by serving in the same role on the same ship in the United States Navy. Lieutenant Caitlin Daly and her father, Lieutenant Commander Donald Daly, both served as the navigation officers for the USS Shiloh at Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam. While Dad hung up his boots and retired to Florida, he says their shared experience is very heartwarming, and he's very proud of how his daughter has progressed in her career.
Here's your first alert forecast with meteorologist Michael Amankwa.
And a last look at UPT forecast. Temperatures will be in the upper 50s and lower to mid 60s, and with clear skies. And that will be the case going into your early morning hours. Clear skies for most of the day. Maybe a few mid to upper level clouds from the west by this evening, but then we'll continue to have mostly clear skies going into your Saturday morning, and we'll just repeat the same thing. Now, I would say Saturday afternoon and evening we may get a little bit more cloud cover, especially as we head towards your Sunday. We really start to increase those clouds, and I'll call it mostly sunny to partly cloudy by then. And then as we head into your Tuesday, we start to clear out after your Monday and your Wednesday. So a little bit of cloud cover from late Sunday into maybe Monday, and then we should start to clear up by then. 87 for a high today. Winds will be switching from the northwest to the south between 5 to 10 miles per hour. Going into tonight, a low of 59 degrees, mostly clear and cool. South winds at 0 to 10. And then as we go into tomorrow, a little bit warmer, 89 degrees for Lawton with mostly sunny skies, and south winds anywhere between 5 and 10 miles per hour. Looking at your 7-day forecast. You're going to continue to have temperatures in the mid to upper 80s as we go into your weekend, and then early next week we cool off just a little bit on your Monday when we have a little bit more cloud cover, so mostly cloudy on your Monday with a high of 83, and then we slowly start warming up into the mid to upper 80s, closer to 90 degrees by the time we get to the middle of next week.
Well, thanks for watching Good Morning Fort Sill. You can check the 7 News app today for the latest updates and breaking news.